the world's oldest flower girl. Hi, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to show you an easy way to make a flower crown and how to make a kissing ball or pomander. For those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Katherine Bergman. I'm a florist with over 30 years experience designing weddings and events, sharing all things floral with you each week. These two projects today are very useful to have in your floral tool belt. So are you ready? Let's get started. I'm going to first show you how to make a flower crown the easy way. What I have here is a length of wire 22 inches long. It doesn't have to be perfectly 22 and you can measure your head. What I usually do when I do flower crowns for flower girls or even for bridesmaids or brides is leave it open in the back. That way you don't have to go around and measure every single person's head. So this 22 inch works for my head with a little space in the back. I think it's fine to have a flower crown that's not solid all the way around, and have a little bit of gap in the back. And that gives you some flexibility. And what we're going to do is hold these three lengths of wire together with some tape. Now, if you have a heavy gauge wire, then you don't need to do this. This is 26 gauge covered wire that I use for making bows, and it comes on a very long length. So I chose to use this because we cut it to whatever length we need. And so if you use a heavier gauge wire, you don't need to combine three pieces of wire together. I'm combining it just so that we have a firmer base to work with. Okay, this is floral tape. This not to be confused with bowl tape. If you look on Amazon, you put in floral tape, often what you get is bowl tape. So you want to make sure it's floral tape. It's sort of a waxy paper tape that we use to make corsages and boutonnieres. And all I'm doing is combining the three wires together into one wire. And I like using, having this kind of sticky surface to work on. So if you have a length of wire that's a heavy gauge, then go ahead and cover it with floral tape anyway. It makes it so much easier to use. Okay, so you've got your wire together, and it's not super stiff, but has some body to it. And you don't need it to be super stiff because you want to make sure it bends well around the head. Okay, and then what I do is I loop the end. So what you do is make a little loop here, fold it back onto itself, and tape it down. That'll give you an end, and that takes up about an inch or so of your wire. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same on this side. I'm going to make a little loop, loop it back towards itself, kind of pinch it, and then tape it down. This gives you a little eye hook for your ribbon. What I do is I attach ribbon to the ends here and here so that you can tie it in the back. And that way it's pretty and it gives you flexibility. So we've got the base of our floral crown. Okay, and what I'm going to use for the base of the floral crown today, you could do greenery or a mixture of greenery and like baby's breath or some other filler flower. Just make sure whatever you use can stand being out of water for several hours. To make my life easier, I bought some fake greenery from Hobby Lobby. These are just like little sprays of greenery that they sell there. They have different kinds. And this one, I thought the colors are very realistic and it'll be very pretty and airy. And I think it's like $4 or $4.50 for a little sprig like this. So it's very inexpensive. You can cut greenery, but it's really hard to find greenery small enough. And once again, you want to make sure your greenery will hold up out of water. So I'm just going to use this. So you can get a lot out of a spray like this. You're going to cut little sprigs of it off of your spray like this. And I chose this because they have different gradations of green. They have light green and dark green, which I think will make it look more realistic. Okay. And I have some baby's breath. So you want to cut your baby's breath into little sprigs as well. And what I did was just combine like a little bit of greenery and a little bit of baby's breath, maybe 2 sprigs of the greenery, and a little bit of baby's breath. And then you're going to use the tape, the floral tape, the stem tape, and tape it onto your wire like this. Now you can use wire to wire it on, but it will give you a much stiffer garland. And I like to use a tape because you don't want to have any prickly or sharp wires poking out on someone's head, right? Often we're doing it for little kids, these flower girl wreaths. So that's our first sprig, okay? And then you're going to do another one. And each sprig doesn't have to be identical. You can have some with 2 pieces of greenery, some with 1, doesn't really matter. And then you can go right over what you just did, hide the tape, and then tape another segment of this down. That's kind of how you make a garland. Now, if you're making a garland to go on a mantle or on a table, we usually use bind wire. But for this, I think the tape is better because it's softer and you're not going to have any sharp ends. And then you get another sprig and put it right over that. And you get the idea. You go all the way down to the end of this. So it's somewhat tedious, but it's not difficult, right? So in the interest of time, I have one already made. It's like the old cooking shows with Julia Childs where, they take the roast chicken out of the oven. So here's the roast chicken, all roasted. So this is one that I made a couple of days ago. I just put it in the fridge. It still looks pretty good. And you can make, if you're making multiples, you can make it ahead of time, mist it, and put it in the refrigerator. Okay. And now we're going to just glue the flowers into the flower crown. Trust me, this is the best and easiest way to make a flower crown. And today I'm going to use daisies, little pom-pom daisies, super inexpensive. A bunch of this at your supermarket might be $4 or $5. And I think it's cute. The reason I chose the daisy mum is because I think because they're lightweight and they're flat. Now you can use little spray roses, but no bigger than that. Don't try to use like a regular size rose on here because it will be way too big. It'll be awkward and it won't stay. Indispensable for your flower crown is Oasis Floral Adhesive. I will put a link in the description on Amazon where you can buy this, or you can buy this at a floral supply house if you have one near you. I've not seen it at craft stores, and it has to be floral adhesive. I've never used anything else, but this is a miracle glue. It's amazing. So you just glue. So what I like to do is just put an assortment of these in different sizes, kind of upside down with the glue on it. Let the glue dry for, 30 seconds to a minute. It's a little tackier when it's dry, and it will adhere better to your crown. And I like to have different sizes. That's another reason why I like the daisy pom-pom mums, is because on one stem you'll have a lot of different sizes. You don't want to have it all the same size. At least I think it's more charming when the flowers are different sizes. You have some big ones, some little ones, and you can even have the less open ones as little accents. Okay, so the glue doesn't dry super fast, and you can lay them out like this until you're ready to glue it onto your little flower crown. I've done many, many flower crowns in my day, and gluing the flowers in is the easiest, as long as you have a nice, sturdy base for it. Okay, now we're ready to glue. You can start in the middle. The middle is sort of where the focal point is. It's going to be right here, right? So you want to start in the middle. And you don't need it on all sides, but you don't want to just having it all on one, the very, very front either. So I like to kind of group it together a little bit like this. And then you just kind of compose it. And it depends on how much you want to put in there. Do you want to have fewer flowers and more of the greenery showing? Or do you want to have a lot of flowers and not much of the background showing? That's kind of up to you. See how you can do this very inexpensively. It's very tedious. In the floral business, when I was doing a lot of weddings, this is what we call very high margin, but high labor intensive item. You can sell this for quite a lot of money, and the materials are very inexpensive, but it's very tedious, right? It's a lot of labor. Okay. And protect your surface because you don't want to get glue all over your kitchen counters. Let's see if I could find a little daisy mum here. Here, okay. And you are done with your little flower crown. We're going to let it dry before we put the ribbon on. I'm going to set it aside and let it dry. So the second part of this video, I'm going to teach you how to make a kissing ball or a pomander, which is just a ball that hangs from a ribbon that a little flower girl can carry that's paved with flowers. Okay, so what I have here is a Oasis floral foam sphere. And it has a net around it, and it's constructed with this net. Now, it's hard to find these spheres that's already netted. I have not been able to find it online, like on Amazon. You can buy this at florist supply stores, but even then, lately it's been hard to get. So I have a hack for you. You can buy these spheres pretty easily online. Now, to make this net, you can use this. This is from avocado. If you go to Costco and buy avocado, they've got 5 or 6 in a little sack. That's what this is, the avocado sack. So if you have a sphere, if you can buy a foam sphere, you can wrap it in this, probably tie off the bottom, put a sphere in here, and then you'll have a netted ball. The reason why you need something like this is otherwise, how are you going to hang this, right? How are you going to hang the ball? Years ago, before they had the netted balls, I had a hack for this where we inserted a large straw, like a wide straw, through the middle to create a hole in the middle, and then ran the ribbon through there and anchored the ribbon with some stakes on the bottom. This is much easier. I think it's more secure. And so if you can't find a netted ball sphere, then you could buy a regular sphere. I'll show you. These are the regular Oasis floral foam spheres that you can buy. And you could put it in an avocado net type of thing. Now, you want to make sure when it's stretched out that the holes are not tiny. Like I tried it with like the clementine bags, when you buy cuties, and those have really finely like close together netting. So you want something a little wider because you have to get stems through here. Okay, so that's the hack. Nothing if not resourceful. Okay, so the reason you have to have this is because you need to thread a ribbon through here for the handle. So I've got a length of ribbon here, and I'm going to just thread it through the netting. And then you're just going to tie it off, however long a handle you want. Okay. Okay. And then you cut the extra parts off. And then what you do is you turn it so that the part where there's a knot is on the bottom and you're not going to see it, like this. Now you don't want this part to be showing, right? So what I do is I use greening pins. Greening pins are sort of like small staples. And it's used a lot in floral work to secure foliage, especially in funeral work where you're covering a cross with calyx leaves or salal or something like that. But it's a very useful thing. It's almost like those garden staples, but much smaller. So what I do is just kind of fold it down like that, okay, with the greening pins. It might pull out a little bit sometimes, but if you put enough down, it should secure it pretty well. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and hide this one on the bottom also with greening pins. So here you have it, and it won't be showing anymore, right? You've got a nice sphere. Okay, now is the fun part. We're just going to pave it with flowers. Now I've done this with hydrangeas, florets, and little roses. That's a lot of work because the hydrangeas you have to cut very small, and the hydrangeas are very soft. The stems are really soft. So that's why also I chose the daisy. It's got a pretty wide surface area, the flower itself. The stem is skinny and firm, and you just cut it like about like maybe an inch, leave about an inch of stem, and just put it in there. Okay, pretty easy, right? Pretty easy and pretty fun. And you want to choose a flower that's not super expensive because you will be surprised how many flowers a little ball like this takes because you're designing 360 degrees. So I think the little daisies are really cute, and the daisy mums come in different colors. So if you're doing it for a wedding, definitely the white is, you know, very appropriate, but you can always find the pink. They have like peachy colors. Maybe burgundy, yellow. So you might be able to find a color that works well with your wedding. I actually have done weddings where we did these flower balls for all the bridesmaids instead of bouquets. I had to make 7 ones for a wedding. This is when you sit down and turn on Netflix and just do this kind of mindless work. Okay. All right, we're going to have to get another thing of daisy mums. These are quite ideal for this because they've got the nice firm stems, easy to put in, won't come out. And you want to make sure the stems are kind of skinny because you have thick stems, you can have too many stems. And don't try to do large roses because it will magnify the size of your pomander so that it's like gigantic and it'll weigh a ton. Okay, we're almost done. Last few flowers. Okay, there is our pomander all covered in white daisies. Isn't that cute? And you can accent the top of your pomander with ribbon. So I've made a bow to match our little handle, and I have it wired on a wired pick. You can just stick the pick right inside, very top. Fluff it up. You got your little pomander with a ribbon top. Now let's take a look at our flower crown and see how it looks. It's the flowers are dried on here, and I promise you this will not come off. It's very, very sturdy, and you can put it in the refrigerator, you can mist it, and the flowers will stay on. And for the finishing touch, all we're gonna do is tie some ribbon to the ends of this so that we can wear it around our head. So I've got the matching little green and white gingham. Of course, you can do whatever colors you want. I'm just going to tie it to the end here. Oh, and I forgot to say, at the very end of your garland, as you're doing it, you're going to have kind of a little bit of the wire tape showing. That's where you can just glue a sprig of baby's breath at the end so that it doesn't show. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Because when you're doing your garland, you're going in one direction. So when you reach the end, you're going to have like an awkward area where the tape is going to show. So the easiest way to hide that is just to glue a little bit of baby's breath at the end. You can maybe add a little tiny daisy. Just to hide that awkward transition. Maybe I'll add another one. Okay. And you kind of look and see if there's any areas you want to add a little more daisy to. I think there's a few areas where I want to add a little bit more. And that's sort of at your discretion, whatever you like. So we're all done with our floral crown and our pomander. Pretty easy, right? You can do this for a photo shoot or for a wedding, for flower girls, bridesmaids, or even the bride. So now you know how to make a flower crown and a kissing ball or a pomander. Not so hard, right, if you know the secrets and the mechanics involved. I hope you learned something today and found this video useful. If it's your first time stopping by, please like and subscribe and click the little bell to be notified when I put out a new video. For those of you who join me each week, thank you as always. You know I love you guys. Leave me a comment to let me know what you're doing. So until next time, go out and buy yourself some flowers. Treat yourself to nature's little luxury, and I will see you in my next video.